Welcome to the Village of East Dundee's board meeting dated Monday, June 7th. Would you go into the roll for us?
Trustee Mahoney. Here. Trustee Andreessen.
Here.
Trustee Quincy.
Present.
Trustee Burton. Here. Trustee Saviano. Here. Trustee Schreiber.
Here.
President Minor.
Here. Okay, if you rise and pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have a point of order that I would like to call before we begin with public comment. I'd just like to let the public know that I have dismissed Jennifer Johnson as our village administrator tonight. Today was her last day. The board will be reviewing the details of this in subsequent meetings, and so there's very little else to say. Brad Mitchell will be taking over in her stead.
In here as assistant.
Correct. Okay, so we have number 4, public comment on agenda items only. Do we have anybody in the audience who'd like to address the board on agenda items?
Well, I'm coming for the Flag Day. I'm not going to be here this year. Somebody's got to take over Flag Day for East Dundee, and I told them that. So I don't see any Flag Day on the agenda.
Right.
And it's a week from today.
It's a week from today.
And
Yeah.
I just looked over the minutes, and you have a motion to approve a side ordinance, a side yard. What about, I have half a lot, I'm already negotiated with the village to build on it. I have to go for 4 inches more, and I don't think it's 30 feet off of the sideline. So I would expect you to, already in the offering, I would expect you to make an exception for that one lot.
Well, and-
It's on the corner of King and Reese.
Okay.
I don't know what your ordinance says, but
Yeah, and as far as the Flag Day observation or observances, I have a call into the VFW to see if they can send the color guard over for the raising and bring about some sort of celebration. Because we have had that in the past, but over the last few years, it's,
well, I would think you would ask all the village people to look at their flag. Maybe they need a new one. It usually is this time when we ask the people to look at their flag, see if it's in good condition.
that's a good point.
Can I say something? I want to make note that staff has reached out to DFW. Catherine's reached out and has not received a response.
We
But
did.
a week out, you know, it's very difficult for staff to find something like this
Yeah.
point on Wednesday and we've got community garage sale. So, you know, it's our opinion not to do something this year. That we bring substance and look forward to next year. We have reached out several times. I mean, in the past, it's really been coordinated by the VFW with the assistance of the village, not the village. So I just wanna make
Yeah,
that note.
I want to say it's probably been 3 years since I parked flag raising for Flag Day, so not that it's a really complicated thing to do, but it takes some coordination to get the right people there in time, so we'll keep working on it for us, and I'll keep you posted. We might be able to work something out. Okay, that brings us to the consent agenda. If I can get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve a consent agenda for the following items. Item A, motion to approve the regular village board meeting minutes dated May 17th, 2021. Motion to approve the special village board meeting minutes dated May 24th, 2021. And C, a motion to approve a reduction in the letter of credit held by Calland LLC for the 250 Patricia Site Improvement Project to $171,142.97.
Second. Okay, any discussion? Yeah.
Trustee Mahoney.
Yes.
Trustee Andreessen.
Yes.
Trustee Quincy.
Yes.
Trustee Burton.
Yes.
Trustee Saviano.
Yes.
Trustee Schreiber.
Yes.
Okay, so that brings us to 6, which are other agenda items. First one is A, Police Officer Kevin Lawson, Life Saving Award. Chief, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. Kevin, would you join me, please? Sure. Ordinarily, when I present a life-saving award to a police officer, I want to have the person's life has been saved here. That's not possible tonight. He is alive, but it's not possible. On April 4th of this year, Officer Kevin Lawson responded to a call of a suicide attempt in town. Upon arrival, he found the victim on his knees and elbows with his head on the floor in a pool of blood. The victim had cut both of his wrists with a razor blade. We later learned that he was depressed about a pending divorce. Officer Lawson applied 2 tourniquets to both of the victim's arms to prevent any further blood loss until paramedics arrived. The victim lost a great deal of blood and was transported to the hospital for his injuries. I'll tell you, there was blood everywhere. It was a really horrific scene, and man is very lucky that Kevin saved him. Officer Lawson acted immediately, and in large part, the victim survived due to Kevin's action. I want to commend him for a quick response and being fully prepared to handle the situation. Kevin, it's not enough, but thank you very much.
Wow. It's hard to
Speech.
that one, but thank you.
I don't have a speech, but thanks for all the, because I only carry one tourniquet. Everybody else carries tourniquets with them. I was able to bring a medical kit that Sergeant Ritter made from the squad up there to help with this situation. So, thanks for that.
Well done.
Thank you. We'll move on to item B then, if I can have a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance approving a variation requiring that a side yard abutting a street is not to be less than 30 feet in depth, to allow for the side yard to be 1 foot in depth in the R2 single family district for the property located at 511 Barrington Avenue, East Dundee, Illinois.
Any discussion? Is the owner here?
Yes.
I have a question for you. So this fence you want to put up, are you planning on putting it on Barrington or only on, I know you have like an L-shaped driveway.
It's going on only.
What's that?
It's just a side down only.
Yeah, okay,
It's
so.
not going on the front yard at all.
Yeah, okay.
It's a side lot that faces the street, so that's why it's got this.
Gotcha.
So it's gonna go from the house to the curb towards Pony, if you will. Which
Well, no, it's not even gonna go past the sidewalk or anything. Towards only to the backyard.
All right, so what is it that is the variance that we're asking for, Brad? Is it for the height of the fence or for the setback from the side of the street?
I can answer.
Yeah.
So the code allows for a 3-foot fence in side yard that faces the street is considered a front yard. Anything with frontage on a road or right of way is considered front yard. The code allows for 3 feet, and you have to be at least 1 foot off of the property line. The village code does not allow us to give a height variance for that, so all we can provide them with is a setback variance for that specific item. So they'd be able to put a 4-foot non-privacy fence at that 1 foot off the property line. And therefore, but no other items, no sheds, no other buildings would be allowed in that setback. In that 30-foot setback.
So it's really a variance to the setback, which is normally the 30 feet here?
Correct. But even in this case, the house isn't even 30 feet back, because everything was overlaid
your house?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be on the west side of the sidewalk.
Okay. So the trees, are the trees gonna be in the way, or are you doing something?
No, there's no trees in the way.
No.
Okay.
There's one kind of in the yard that's gonna go up.
It's gonna go on and
Yeah.
And Chris, did you say it was a non-privacy fence?
Yeah,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it's
it's the raw,
aluminum bars.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can see what it is.
Just like powder coated.
Exactly.
Right, or whatever. Yeah. Anybody have anything else? Staff? Sarah? Kathy?
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Andreessen?
Yes.
Trustee Coonsey?
Yes.
Trustee Burden? Yes. Trustee Saviano?
Yes.
And Trustee Schreiber?
Yes.
Great. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we move on to item C.
I'll move to approve an ordinance approving a special use permit for a child care center in the B3 General Service Business District for the property located at 460 Dundee Avenue, East Dundee.
I'll second.
Discussion.
Is this the same company that was there before? No.
Should be. Answer.
Hello, how are you? We're taking the space from that previous owner.
Okay. But you have a similar business, right?
Right, to the daycare, but they vacated and we're starting, me and my business partner, starting all fresh. She's from Dundee area, so she has a lot of, wants to bring a lot of things to the community. And I already have 3 existing ones, so we should, that would be a good idea to partner up and, do more in the community.
So basically, it's same space, same business, different owners.
Because it's special use. That's right.
Correct. The village board did not allow the prior special use to attach to the property, so they would have a chance to look at each business operator.
And then the rear was set up, if I recall correctly, for an outdoor play area.
Yeah, so the facility's gonna be licensed by DCFS,
Okay.
so they require to have a specific amount of square footage and that sort of thing, for outdoor exploration.
And Chris, there's no issues, right, with any of the materials, barriers, if you will, that are as far as condition goes?
No, I mean, we've not that I'm aware of. We will do a final walkthrough before they get occupancy. DCFS will do theirs, fire district will be in on this. So we'll be able to get to see the property one more time before they actually get occupancy.
Fine. I'm not, I don't want to get too far into the weeds, but is there an issue that right now, because I've had other calls concerning that end of Riverdale Shopping Center with regard to the parking lot and condition of it?
That end of the parking lot actually was overlaid. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, they ground some of it down and overlaid that area of that parking lot on the north end. It's the south end that is really bad issue. Separate owner.
Right. As long as we don't have any issues on it. Any other questions? No? Kathy?
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Andreessen?
Yes.
Trustee Coonsey?
Yes.
Trustee Burden? Yes. Trustee Saviano?
Yes.
And Trustee Schreiber?
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, welcome to the
Well
village.
done.
Good
luck.
Good luck, guys.
When do you think you'll be opening?
I'm hoping, end of July, beginning of August.
Great.
Just in time.
Now we're not on our way.
Make sure the air conditioning works that time of year.
Thank
Great,
you.
thank you. That brings us to item D. Okay, this is actually a discussion, but if somebody would like to read it in minutes. Motion on it.
We need to read it in there.
Well, I've never done one.
We will discuss and consider the full year 2022 Dundee Crossing BDD facade grant applications received. A motion to award full year 2022 Dundee Crossings BDD facade grants to Mockingbird Bar and Garden, Lifeline Plumbing, The Distance Social, and Zona Marketing.
So, do we know, oh, I'm sorry.
It requires seconds on the
Yeah,
motion.
right, it's just.
It says,
Well, there's part of
Oh,
it.
so it includes that motion to award, I'm sorry, yeah.
Second it to
Second, sorry.
I read it.
So now,
A lot of things.
is there any discussion then, questions? These, I believe there were, yeah, well, I thought there were 6 available grants to begin with. I thought that was what we had set up. And it looks as though 1, 2, 3, 4 of them.
These were what we received.
Yeah, well, we only had 4.
I have a question. What about Molo? I know that they were planning on applying. Did they reach out at all? Or?
I have to check in, you know, I'm not sure what's happening, so.
Yeah,
Check
you know,
on that, what's being recommended, you know, we try to give the grants to whoever has applied.
Right.
you were referring to the building then behind you?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, my understanding of that building was that there was a $25,000 grant that was approved, but it was contingent upon it was contingent upon getting a tenant for that space. And they struggled to this point to get one.
There is interest in the property right now.
Yeah, well, you know, it's a really, really cool building, and it's got a lot of potential, and really, you know, there's a lot of different things that could go in there. So I don't think it'll be too long before somebody comes up with something really, and then at that point, then the facade program, or the grant rather, should kick in. So I believe that was $25,000. That's correct.
I got a question on all that. On the side of that building is a little parcel, I'm not sure who it's owned by, but that's where the garbage kind of sits, and it gets kind of thrown around.
On the south end? Not in
Yeah, the south end, right. Yeah, is there
That's
something we can do to make that an official garbage spot, even if we need to buy that little chunk of land from the man that I know who owns it?
Okay, well, yeah, what is it, like 3 or 4 dumpsters that are?
Yeah, I mean, it's a mess, and that is a street back there, and I would even like to get all the garbage off that sidewalk, because I'm gonna have a handicap entrance on the back. They won't get in there with all that stuff there.
Okay, yeah, so we'll have to figure something out then.
Have an answer?
Yeah.
Yeah, that parcel you're speaking of is owned by Auto Engineering. And yes, it's a very small chunk that I think they carved out just for the dumpsters there.
Oh.
So, and that parcel butts right up against the south edge of Model Hills. And then Model owns land that wraps around it. So,
I've talked to Blair, he's all for it.
right,
The guy that owns that.
right, I think they need to combine the parcels to make one area for dumpsters, and then have it enclosed like the rest of the dumpsters in the newer development. With we require a masonry wall and a gate in front of it, so that it can't see it.
So were you indicating that Blair was looking perhaps to purchase that little piece, that we're talking about a very small piece of land?
The guy that owned it isn't budging, so Blair and I gotta purchase it from him to do that, we will,
Okay,
unless
But
he's
you're-
playing hardball.
no, I can't imagine why, we'd have to, I can help facilitate a conversation with that, maybe. Let's see about it. Because
It makes sense, I mean, otherwise it's a pigsty back there.
Right, have you been in communication with Idle at all on this?
I haven't, but I figured once I got settled, I would do that.
Okay.
Yeah. But Blair has it, Blair said he wouldn't talk to him about it, so no.
All right. Well, do you know offhand if he's got anybody?
He does,
He does,
yeah,
okay.
I think he
thought
does. It's, I think Schnitz and Giggles, is that, maybe it's gonna be in there?
I don't know if the interest is public, that's why I didn't bring it up.
Yeah.
We'll get these to all right, that's great. Okay, well, we'll see what we can do about opening up a conversation with that land.
Thanks.
That little piece. Thank you.
Well, I mean, I think that all these businesses are great companies for East Dundee. I'm pretty excited that they're all
Absolutely.
Yeah.
taking part.
Yeah, Yeah, it really is. I mean, our downtown especially is really taking shape, and so I'm excited about the future too.
Thank you.
Good luck, guys.
Thank you
Very
very much.
generous.
Good luck, guys. Thank you for what you're doing for our town.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So
So,
thank you for continuing to do that.
yeah. Well, if anybody was around over the weekend.
Congratulations to getting done through the other side of COVID.
Yeah.
Towards at least the back.
Yeah.
All right. Do we need a vote on that motion then?
Oh, there's a vote.
Yeah.
Trustee Mahoney? Yes. Trustee Andreessen?
Yes.
Trustee Coonsey?
Yes.
Trustee Burton? Yes. Trustee Saviano?
Yes.
And Trustee Treiber?
Yes. The next item is just a bullet point item referring to appointment of Frank Scarpelli for village trustee for an open seat. This is just a reminder for the board, nothing more. So there's really no discussion that needs to be had unless anybody would like to ask any questions.
I just wondering what the open seat is.
Well, it's actually for the one you hold. This was the appointment that I made to fill that third seat that didn't get, that we didn't have a candidate run for, so that trustee Andreessen held over for. So ordinance requires that I go ahead and do this 30-day notice on that. Not ordinance, but actually municipal code requires a 30-day notice on that. Once the appointment is done, the board has 30 days to act on it, yea or nay, and then move on from there.
I would just remind those present that we do have a number of legal opinions from our village attorney stating that the seat is not vacant,
Okay.
and that there has been no counter opinion or anything that would contradict the opinion that we received from village council.
Sure.
So the ongoing circus of putting this on the agenda to make a point to remind the board that enough's enough.
I just have to do it based on.
Actually, you don't, because you're not mandated to fill a filled seat.
Well, okay. We have item F, if I could get a motion.
I'll make a motion to authorize the purchase of two 2021 Ford utility police interceptor vehicles, complete with vehicle and emergency equipment, in the amount of $31,555.06.
Any discussion? Chief, are they gonna
This was on the,
fill your needs? These are the two.
yeah, we have 4 unmarked vehicles and 5 marked vehicles in our fleet. And these 2 vehicles were slated to be traded in for new ones last year, and the purchase was deferred. So what we need though is additional funds, because in the intervening year, you know, we've realized that we really have to trade out some of the internal equipment, such as the computer, the in-squad computers, the video cameras, things of that nature. So we need a little more funds, and we've got well over 100,000 miles on each of those vehicles. So this is a planned replacement that's been delayed for a year.
So, can I ask the equipment that's on board of the ones, is it the equipment that needs to be replaced or the people? Oh, all right. I was gonna say, just
What was the
hang on to the.
budget line?
I'm sorry.
Originally, we had this in the budget, so you're saying this is more than what was in the budget?
We're asking for $22,000 over that, because originally we just had the vehicle cost, not the equipment that we now realize has to go in. These vehicles are 5 and 6 years old, they have well over 100,000 miles on them, and I can tell you that the industry standard is way lower than that for both.
That's hard to serve the village when it's sitting in the shop.
That's a good point. I think, I want to say it was maybe about 4 years ago, perhaps 5, we changed, as a board, we changed our, I don't know, our guidelines for cruisers from, I think it was 100 to 120,000 miles, to try to extend the life of them, based on the costs surrounding the repairs and maintenance of it between 100 and 120. Trying to eke out a little bit more life on it was what we were going for. we know what the,
My recollection is that was a temporary fix because our budget was such a disaster 4 years ago that we asked the police department to put off the replacements because we were trying to plug too many holes at once. And it wasn't meant to be a permanent policy, it was more of a, can you please delay it for a year or two until we can afford it.
Well, we said the mileage on one is 139,000. Yeah, that was a lot in here close to that.
George, is this not replacing the two vehicles that were destroyed last year?
This is a separate,
So you're essentially getting four new
this request is to expend funds for 2 planned vehicles. They were budgeted to be replaced.
vehicles. Right.
Right.
Have we gotten the replacements for the other two?
No, we have not.
It's like a year lead, isn't it?
Pardon?
It's a long lead on those, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, we're getting close to it, but we do not have a need for it.
and did we work out from an insurance standpoint that the at-fault driver was basically there on the hook, right?
Yeah, Brad can maybe address that better.
Yeah, it's going through the insurance.
It is, okay, still.
Yeah, that was the drunk driver who took out 2 of our squad cars while the officers of both squad cars were at the side of the road giving the standardized field sobriety test to a different drunk driver. So luckily, there was no one in any of the 3 vehicles that were taken out.
Yeah.
Very luckily.
And nobody really hurt either. I mean, it's amazing how
That's what I mean.
you can hit 2 police cruisers total.
And the other car,
Right,
the
exactly.
DUI.
Amazing.
So, I mean, we all need a little luck.
Yeah. Can I ask if the insurance issue has to be ironed out before we take possession of the 2 cars? It doesn't. Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, the downside to this, Jeff, is that we're really racking up miles faster than ever on the remaining vehicles.
yeah.
And that comes back to bite later on.
Okay, well, hopefully we'll be able to get them quickly.
So these 2 new ones, are they gonna be marked cars?
Both,
Okay.
yes.
Well, okay, anybody, anything else? Catherine, take a roll.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Andreessen?
Yes.
Trustee Coonsey?
Yes.
Trustee Burton? Yes. Trustee Damiano?
Yes.
And Trustee Crowell?
Yes.
Thank you.
The next item then is a discussion regarding Zoom participation for in-person meetings. If you, I'm sure everybody saw earlier email indicating that Governor Pritzker has extended the Zoom meeting format until the 26th of the month. The state is going to open up on the 11th completely, but they're extending that participation so we can continue to do that. Does anybody have anything they want to add to this?
Well, I think what we're really trying to talk about here is whether or not to make the Zoom participation a permanent feature of our board meetings.
For the residents.
For the residents?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess my thought on that would be, a couple of things. First off, I don't think that we should make it available to staff, no offense to you guys. I think that staff should show up. Secondly, I think that it would be hard to coordinate discussion over a monitor. I think that people want to address the board, they should come in. But I don't have a problem with, live broadcasting the board meeting. Even if it's not Zoom, maybe it's just a live YouTube link or something to that effect, that we just live broadcast meeting. I think that's great for transparency in general, for the entire, anybody that wants to watch. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be Zoom, it just has, I think we definitely need a live broadcast, like Facebook Live or whatever option we would use. Because, between shut-ins, the meetings are at 6 o'clock, so people have families that are making dinner, and they're, doing whatever. You got people that are sick, people that are traveling, media, whoever. I think it makes sense that in conjunction with our in-person meetings, we definitely have to have a live broadcasting feature.
Can I ask Catherine, or Brad, how long a time between the meeting that's happening now before it's available on YouTube, where they can view it?
When we were doing Zoom, it was very user-friendly. So it was like off the camcorder.
Okay.
It's on a file, it has to go, in my computer, go through this Adobe processing program. It almost takes 2-3 hours,
Oh, wow.
sometimes more. If there's editing involved, then it takes more time. But by the next day, but maybe later in the day.
I was just thinking maybe there was some stipulation that YouTube had as far as a buffer of time, between something, filmed and something loaded. So if it's a matter of hours, then, it's not really a big deal. So.
Facebook Live might not be a bad option just because it would draw people to the Village's Facebook page where we could have information about events and, recycling programs, whatever. I mean, it'll bring them to the page. And again, even if it takes a couple hours afterwards, if people want to see it live, we're going to see it. People that don't care until the next morning, they're going to see it. So it might be that.
And then it's there.
Yes.
You what?
Yes. You can record for Facebook Live.
I'm so used to like Zoom and all of those like professional things, so it's like Facebook, so you
All the kids are doing it now. It's very cool. It's very cool.
I'm not familiar enough with the Facebook format or vehicle. Are there any retention issues with that as far as how long you can say they drop off then?
Under state law, the village has to keep certain records for different lengths of time. You're asking technologically, how long
Yeah.
are they stored? I'm sorry.
No, but if
I
there's
misunderstood
legality
your
to
question.
consider, then we should.
But I believe the video would be recorded and be available on the website for however long, but then we would still put a copy on the YouTube channel, I assume.
I'm sorry, that was my question, if you can record it and
I believe so.
download it on Facebook, that's the, okay.
You'll be learning.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah, I think it's worth looking into at least.
And what's the legal standard?
So the Illinois Local Records Act requires the village to keep certain documents for certain lengths of time, depending on what your local records custodian allows. And so meeting recordings are within a certain category, and maybe, I don't know if your records custodian's here and he has knowledge of what that schedule item is, but typically it's several years. Like your meeting minutes you have to hold for pretty much forever, your agendas forever. But then other things can be destroyed if they allow for it after a certain number of years. These kinds of meeting videos would likely have to be kept on some secure format for a number of years.
Greg, if we wanted to stipulate that we'd like to broadcast our meetings live, is that an ordinance we would have to approve?
Or just a policy.
It would be by policy typically. You don't see those as codified, but there's different technology that's evolving. So if you're just putting up an iPad on Wi-Fi and hitting go on Facebook Live, that's more of a direction staff policy kind of issue.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so we can address that, then the board is of mind to do that as far as the policies itself, or access, security, and that kind of thing.
As far as the governor's extension, are we going to have our next meeting here, or are we going to do it on Zoom? This is the next question. I would say we could do it here personally.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. We're open now, just, as we'll have it, if we can do. If we do. Do we have to have then a monitor brought in to accommodate the Zoom?
Well, if it is Zoom, just so the board can probably see the people in case anybody had questions, otherwise it'd be up there. That's all
Well, right,
it is.
we won't see anything, hopefully they'll see us, but.
Facebook Live, it wouldn't matter if we saw it anyway.
It would just broadcast of making this an AV experience for Zoom,
Yeah.
just with, having
Well,
residents being able to watch. And there are other, in my personal opinion, just from work, there's other things that we could do that would be better for, the download, the upload, for live viewing. But if we want Zoom, we probably have to get some sweet conference room features in here to be able to integrate and connect.
Okay, well, we'd have to think about that then too, but isn't the company, the company that you work for, a cybersecurity
Yes.
company, well, then we might be able to tap us, we try for them, for a little bit of guidance on that. That's kind of convenient. So, all right, great. Anything else? Great. And the last item is item H, and based on a point of order comment that I made at the beginning, this item becomes a moot point, so just gonna call to
No elections.
right, is needed for this. So we can move on to financial reports. I would encourage you to take a look at some of them. Actually, I would encourage you to take a look at all of them, I do. Not most exciting, but they're all out there, and any questions then that you have regarding some of them that you don't understand, please get a hold of Brad. He can let you know exactly what they're, what they're all about. Some of those outlays don't allow for the most informative descriptions of what those checks are going out for. So if you have any questions or whatever, don't hesitate to ask. Go to reports. I'll start out, as I said. The only thing I really have is dismissal of Jennifer. She's worked here for almost 5 years now, and so I'm not gonna beat that one up anymore. But we appreciate her service, and we'll report on anything that develops in the future for it. So we'll go on to Trustee Britton.
No report.
Trustee Andreessen.
I would just remind the village president that we still need committee assignments.
Yes, I'm working on those. I'll have those for you next week. In fact, I'll just.
And actually, go ahead.
Done.
To that point, I think it was really beyond just the committees. We found that there were a lot of committees that never even needed to meet.
Yeah.
So is there a way to either combine them?
Yeah.
And also, as a standard practice in the past, once those were determined, the board was given the opportunity to give preference 1, 2, 3 to those.
Right.
And so I'd really like to have that opportunity instead of.
Absolutely. No. I was going to say, if you want, I'll send the emails. You can take a look online for all the different committees that we have: utilities, streets, finance. Well, we're all part of finance, but utilities, streets, community events, general village, that sort of thing. And there's descriptions out there of what they do. So if you have any, we all sit on probably 3, and we each chair 1, sometimes 2. Yeah, right. If we end up combining a couple, there might be fewer. But yeah, just shoot me a quick email if there's any particular committee that you really want to either sit on or even chair, and I'll get those out.
Should we discuss maybe which committees we're actually going to have before we do that? I'm just saying, like, some things can be absorbed in committee.
Yeah,
It probably should be.
We can do that.
There's just some things that it's like, it's discussed at the board level anyway, it doesn't really.
Maybe we
It
can make
actually-
this a discussion topic for the next
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah, we could do that. But yes, I remember calling, I don't have here, there's utilities, streets, community events, general village, liquor commission.
Signs was the old one.
Yeah, Trustee Kunze is our representative for Quadcom. He fulfilled that last year and has agreed to graciously continue on in that role, which is nice. And then finance, and we had finance as liquor commission is, it's a smaller one. It's usually the village president and then the
2 trustees.
yeah, and then there was, I thought there was somebody else now.
Well, there's an adjudication officer.
Yeah, there was somebody besides that, yeah, so I'll take a look at that, but yeah, that one kind of,
What did we rotate with those adjudication hearings in the last year?
well, in the last year, I don't know, to be honest with you, because I haven't been involved in it, but, if there's any issues that are brought about with any liquor establishments that have.
Well, I'm not talking
profits,
about,
they're gonna go before.
Brad, maybe you could answer that. What about all of our red light tickets? We usually do those in adjudication hearings.
Yeah, I think Kathy can comment on, she'll coordinate our communication.
I didn't hear the question.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Well, I was just wondering, I haven't heard about any adjudication hearings over the last year. I'm just wondering what we've been doing with things like the red light camera tickets or things like that.
So pretty much from March through the month before last, everything was kind of on hold. And we're doing backlogs now. So because we're still on Zoom, until the governor allows us to go on phase 5, the adjudication is still being held by Zoom, but only when the person submits a form,
It's a waiver.
a waiver, thank you. So a lot of people aren't doing waivers, so their cases keep getting pushed until we are back in person. So we even moved it up there normally at 3 o'clock, and there's a ton of red light hearings that you can probably imagine. So we are starting at 2 o'clock and doing all the backlog. We started that last month, but again, not a lot of people turn in a waiver. So I'm expecting once we're in person, we're gonna start at 2 o'clock for several months and do all the backlog.
So daunting. Yeah. So the waivers that they would have to submit, if it was, as if they want to appeal? Is that-
No, so you have a right to be in person unless you agree in the waiver to say, I agree to do this by Zoom. Criminal courts, they have similar issues with huge backlogs as well, and so we work with the village on waiver. If you want to get your ticket resolved now, sign this document.
And Chief, you're still involved on that, right?
Yeah, one of our officers is assigned to the adjudication process.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
part, it actually is part of the overall thing about the committees and how to handle things. I'm still, you know, I brought the issue on the planning and zoning commission, and whether in its current iteration or in some revised with the historic commission and what have you.
Yeah, well, years ago, just a little bit of history, it was a historic commission and then a zoning commission, and 2 boards of 7. And I understand it the way both these boards were, I don't want to say dysfunctional, but they weren't working as well because it just seemed as though getting a quorum for each board was a challenge. So what the decision was, and this was a number of years ago, predates me, was to combine them to a 9-person board. I would agree that perhaps 9 people on the board might be a bit too much. In all, I've been to a number of the planning and zoning commission meetings, and I don't know that I've ever been in one where, at least in the last 3 years, where they had a full board. So, I mean,
That's what I'm saying, I'm wondering if they're, that's why I brought it up.
paring it down a bit might be.
Paring it down or eliminating it, because again, there's certain things I think we do at the board level, whether it's historic commission or, you mentioned possibly like, essentially like an adjudication officer. Right, or something like that. Just to have a conversation about making it easy to do business with and within the village.
All right, well, we can.
Well, we did talk about this a few weeks ago, and Greg actually like to look into some options
It's been
for
busy.
us.
It's been busy.
And we'll provide a succinct list of options for the board to consider.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, if we pared it down to, either a 3 or 5-person board from a 9, it might operate a little more efficiently. So, but personally, I think that the service that it provides is a good one, simply because it's putting a new set of eyes on issues that we don't, or we may not know exist, and really anytime more input, really the better, especially on something that we're not fully aware of, so.
It all has to come to us in the end.
It does. And
So,
of course, we're not bound by anything that the P&Z decides, but I think I've always viewed it as a help more than a hindrance. So, okay, Kathleen.
yeah, Sunday was the Memorial Day Parade, and trustees Andrew Stanton and Lindsay marched with me, and I wanted to thank Pete for driving that brand new spanky clean dump truck.
Air-conditioned truck.
It smelled like new truck. It smelled like new truck.
Like the fact that I walk in the
it-
because of AC.
Exactly, that new truck smell. It was really great. We had candy. We also had the new events postcards and village business maps. Most people are gone now, but if you have a business in the village, please get some of these from Brad and the rest of the team. I know they were trying to hand them out to, are they handed out already? Yeah. So it's got all of our village events as well as our businesses, both village sponsored and also from some of the events that our businesses sponsor. And we encourage, the depot grounds is a really beautiful asset that not a lot of other villages have. And so we would encourage any other businesses that might have interest or community groups to that would want to hold public events in that park to reach out to Brad and the team, and Catherine, I know you're involved in it a lot, see what we can do in the county to bring even more fun and family-free events to the village. On that, did I think Jesus and who drove? Pete and Jesus drove, and they were there putting up cones and signs and barricades and all that good stuff. This Wednesday is our first Wind Down Wednesday. Pray for good rain. Or for good weather.
Yeah.
Good weather.
I mean, we also need good rain, but this one's
Yeah. So we're kicking into high gear with events this weekend. On Friday, Saturday is the community-wide garage sale. Yes. Oh, you need to clean up your garage.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I might just let me give stuff away.
Saturday is the Depot Market as well. And then Sunday is the Dundee Farmers and Artisan Market as well, from 10 to 3, which is a really nice event as well. So there's stuff going on the whole weekend as well. And if I didn't steal anybody else's stuff, I announced it.
I understand the parade was really well attended.
Yeah.
I'd been hoping to get into it, but it was racing like a madman to get home from Michigan.
I just have one other thing that I wanted to say, is because we were handing out both candy and these event cards, which this is the perfect time if we had the St. Patrick's Day Parade. That's another great timing to try and get these out into the hands of people that are visiting the village. But that we want to try and make sure that we have at least 4 people that are walking, handing out candy on each, 2 people on each side of the street, one handing out candy and one handing out maps. Because I was only able to cover one side of the street because these guys were all about candy.
Just for leftovers, really.
That's all I have.
Actually, a question, has Eileen reached out for the postponed date? I had heard something about July. Is that still?
She had sent tentatively July 17th, but we reached out again,
Still
confirmed that.
Okay, because that's.
It's a lot.
I'm on that committee, we have since the meeting on.
That's like fast approaching, that's a lot of work to do in 5 weeks' time or whatever, 6 weeks.
Wasn't there one time talk about like halfway next St. Patrick's Day or something like that? Like splitting it. Yeah, like, March 17th or whatever it's supposed to be, plus 6 months.
It's 9/11 this meeting. The first meeting is on Tuesday, right around 10.
Maybe you guys can do it right in the middle of Oktoberfest.
You know what? Let's throw in Vegas while we're at it and get all the holidays out of the way. There's some Halloween festivities.
Multicultural.
You'll get a lot of attendance at Oktoberfest.
I'm just saying, we're gonna boat out there, it'd be great.
That's an efficient committee right there.
Look at what you're getting done.
Okay, Trustee Coonsey.
No.
Trustee Tribe.
No report. No report. Happy that everything's getting back to normal.
Okay, and Trustee Saviano. Okay. Mr. Mitchell, any report? Mr. Ranieri.
No report.
Ms. Brandis.
We did post Ishmael's job, so we posted for about a month.
July.
Let's hire someone.
And our attorney.
No report.
I'm sorry. Okay, Chief.
The police department is going to begin soon doing the annual liquor inspections.
Okay.
Unfortunately, last year that didn't occur because of the pandemic, but it will occur this year.
Okay, what does that entail?
It entails an underage person
I
with
see.
valid ID.
Gotcha.
We're not fooling, we don't want to fool anybody. We present valid ID. And of course, if a particular store sells, they are written a ticket for the state violation and for the individual employee that made the sale illegally.
So if anybody were to do that, and just kind of for our own edification here, a liner walks in, hands somebody a fake ID that indicates that, the picture looks good, it is who they are, whatever. What beyond that would the responsibility require?
the liquor store employee is required to, card. And if it's a legitimate, really good fake ID, they've done their job. A lot of times though, these things are not legitimate. They don't look like valid IDs. Yeah. They had something put together that purports to be from a different state. We run into a lot of it.
I was in the store the other day, in fact, and,
Did you use your fake ID?
no, the person in front of me, I didn't think at all that he really needed to be carded, and he was, and then I didn't get carded, and I was a little offended.
A lot of places have a sign up, we card over 50 or whatever.
What are you trying to say, George?
It's going to be 30, I'm okay with it. All right, and last but not least, Mr. Bill, what do you got?
Just a quick comment on the weather. We've got the National Weather Service reports that we're experiencing, going through our third driest spring on record. Approximately 7 inches below normal for precipitation, so the soil is just.
I'm saying that required now.
No, not anytime soon. So there's no moisture, other than the surface moisture that people are watering lawns along now, so there's nothing.
And let me ask you, that doesn't affect the lift station at Hill Street, does it? I mean, if we, there's no issues with seals or any lines that may, I don't want to say dry rot, but that might be part of added maintenance because there is no water?
No. So sanitary flows are pretty close to normal through our treatment plant, so we're just not experiencing the I&I, they call it, the infiltration of stormwater into the sanitary system. So as far as the flow through the treatment plant, that's pretty close to normal.
I think that so now we come to public comment on non-agenda items. Is there anybody who'd like to address the board on a non-agenda item? This is your.
I have one. I just have a quick question. Sure. So I'm Tyler from Lifeline. Okay. So thank you guys for the grant. It's awesome. It helps us a lot. So thank you so much. Just a quick question about the Hager property. I talked to Jennifer a little bit about it, and we were looking to purchase just that old steel building along the river. And the steel, it's just starting to fall apart. It's all rusted out. It doesn't look good, but it would help us out to have that, just for like, storing materials, our equipment and all that good stuff in there. So Jennifer was saying that it probably wouldn't be feasible to get, like a permit or anything, especially use permit to use that property. So I don't know if that will change anytime soon, or, what the plans are for that whole,
Is that building north of the?
So it is west. It is right west of the actual Hager building.
Okay.
It's right along the river.
Yeah. No, my understanding is that there's a whole lot of issues with that property. I mean, you had a business that was in there that kind of just left. And then there's a person that basically financed the purchase of the property, and like I think there's still some ongoing legal issues with regard to property rights and ownership that we have. That's probably might just be hung up.
But it's part of the Hager.
It's part of that, that whole campus there.
Yeah, they got goes all the way to the river, except for Mike shop.
It's 2 parcels right there along the river. It's quite lengthy, just along that.
Take part in mine there. Well, have you made any inquiries?
So, yes, Jean was willing to sell it to us, but upon talking to Jennifer, and, we kind of decided to not pursue it anymore because it sounded like it'd be a big, hassle to try to get a permit to actually use it.
Okay, Chris, is it an occupancy issue, is it a safety issue?
It depends on how you're looking at it, because it's not directly contiguous with their property.
Okay.
So it's considered an accessory use to commercial property. And it can be done through a special use to allow that, for that building to be used by a business within the village, even though it's not contiguous with them. The reason it's not contiguous is the bike path between them. They own their property, there's a bike path, and you own another parcel on the west side of the bike path, and then that parcel is contiguous. But where their building is, so it's just more of a logistics thing, there's maybe something legally we could discuss and say whether,
Well, is the need for it to be contiguous, is that a legal requirement? I mean,
without a special use.
No, what about the property going from your location towards Elgin? Is that, I mean, is that like basically between the bike path essentially and Duncan Avenue? Right now, it's basically river overflow.
Yes.
But I mean, how much of that property do you own? I mean, was there some, would there be a way to utilize that property?
We don't own anything past that outbuilding that's
Okay.
there,
Okay.
and I don't know if that would even be like a buildable
Right, I mean,
ground, because it floods right there. So, I mean, I'm sure you can bring in, fill and all that good stuff, but it's kind of narrow too. It's not that big of a space.
okay, so it wouldn't be practical.
Yeah.
Got it, okay.
So, but we own just west of our building, we own another parking lot that is connected to the parcel that we want to acquire. So I don't know if that makes any difference, or if it's where the building lies, or what.
I think the other question was, would the village support that building being used for storage for them, or is there some long-term view for that parcel or different?
Yeah, about, I'd have to look into it a little bit, I think it'd be, I think it would certainly be a discussion for the group, but we don't, that, it's nothing that's happened for, eons now.
So if we were to, if we were to acquire, I mean, we would replace, some of the sheet metal that's on there, paint the roof, paint the building,
That's what I was gonna ask.
replace the doors, the garage doors don't, I don't even know how they're still standing up.
I think you're better as a tear down.
I mean, if you go,
Might be cheaper.
realistically, if you go inside, the whole frame is awesome. I mean, it's great inside. It's like, the whole slab is great. It's just that sheet metal looks terrible. The doors are all, they don't even open. They're all bent up. The loading dock, I mean, the loading dock is just terrible. The parking lot's horrible. So that stuff does need to be replaced, and we'd be willing to do all that. The parking lot we would have to do in phases. It might take us, 1 year to do half the parking lot, another year to do the other half, because it would cost, I think it was $150,000 just to do the parking lot. So we'd have to break that down into 2 years, but the rest of it, I mean, we can make it look pretty nice, and, but it just depends on what you guys want it to look like in the future. If you want it to be all, residential right there, then, I understand if you don't want us there, but.
Well, I guess I would say this, I mean, first off, we love you there. We love you at your location.
We love being
You guys
there.
do a great
Well, that's
job.
why we want this property, because we're growing. We want,
That particular lot that you're talking about is positioned in between the bike path and the river in what is essentially an area, that entire Hager building is a building that's surrounded on all 4 sides by residential property. And you guys are not a manufacturing property, so I appreciate that. But, I think that land, we should really, I would encourage you all to look at it, because it is potentially prime, real estate for possibly public use, really, because it is, it's riverfront property that can be used for a park, for instance.
So again, there's a way to get a contiguous parcel with them to help them expand their business. I mean, again, without infringing on.
I understand. I'm just throwing out another thought. I'm not. And again, Lifeline. I've used Lifeline.
I've used you guys a few too many times.
Thank you. You guys feel free to name drop when you call us. Totally fine with me.
But remember this face.
Yeah, I think it's to know what it's zoned at.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's M1. I think it's zoned for us.
let's be honest, right now, it's not exactly aesthetically pleasing.
It doesn't look good. I mean, it doesn't look good.
It's horrible.
Yeah, Yeah.
So anything that would be better, anything would be better. Again, as long as it fits into like the overall.
Right.
Yeah.
The problem with that whole Tabor building and campus is it does have lead. I mean, we had someone look at, you know, the environmental, it's got lead in the ground. It has a lot of, that whole building is full of asbestos. So
Lead,
for
especially
someone to go
sports
and purchase that property, I mean, we gotta have some money to take it out.
Right. You talking about
The actual building, the actual Tabor building.
Yeah, old ceramic glazing used to have that arsenic in it too. Yeah, it's got all sorts of junk.
They had, yeah, I mean, they had big reservoirs full of some oil, I forgot what kind of oil it was.
violations, I'm sure.
So, but yeah, I mean, I'd like to be the first one to know, if we could use that, you know, like I said, we'd be willing to fix it up, use it, and, you know, we could stay there forever.
On that property, and it's a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
Let's take a walk by.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we'll for
Thank
sure.
you.
We'll see
Thank
what
you.
we can do.
Yeah, awesome.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Anybody else who'd like to address the board? Seeing none, we have no executive session, so now you will call for adjournment. Second.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Andreessen?
Yes.
Trustee Coonsey?
Yes.
Trustee Britton? Yes. Trustee Saviano?
Yes.
Trustee Triber?
Yes.
And President Lyon?
Yes. Okay, thank you all for coming. Just a little here. See you soon. Hey, Brad?
Yep.